Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Huge drama developing over the last 24 hours or so on the North American playoff side. Evil Geniuses versus NRG was popping off last night as a crazy result comes through and all sorts of trash talk hits the timeline as a result. Very much enjoyed to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. I'm here in Toronto for the coming days for a Call of Duty event, so I'll do my best to cover all the goings on the VALORANT side as well, but there was a lot that went on last night and we're going to dive straight into it here. First of all, another call here from Ethan with regard to the shorty as to how good this weapon presently is. I think I mentioned the other day that maybe it should be nerfed, and I know there's been a lot of debate on this. I think it should just be a bit more expensive, to be honest. I don't really think the actual weapon itself needs to get nerfed massively or at all, but I just think for $150 it is arguably a little bit too cheap right now for what it should be. So there's been lots of talk about this from the pros over the last couple of weeks. Definitely intrigued to your perspective in the comments section below on that one. Also thought this is pretty funny here for babybay. Teams don't pick me up, I pick them up, so pretty good stuff to be fair. But yeah, will babybay get a spot at some point or another? Who knows? But some of these teams today, especially after last night's performances, definitely did not get any of the results that they would like to have seen. We'll certainly see more of that here in a second. There was also this from Sentinels. We discussed yesterday all the rumours emerging as to whether they would make a change, whether they wouldn't make a change, what it would be if they did decide to. And Rob Moore followed LeBron James briefly yesterday on Twitter, and as soon as he saw this, you know, okay, all the following that he did yesterday, the Sean Gares, the Asuna thing, like that's not going to be happening. And indeed they confirmed shortly afterwards that even after Aaron did a bit of a, joke here about the fact that he's going to be joining them, they're not making any changes. So they're doubling down on this. Their current roster is their roster for the future. Marved, TenZ, Zyppan, Pankada, Sassy, that is going to be their team for the rest of the season. Unless things go drastically wrong behind the scenes in practice, then this is going to be their team of 5. I think it makes sense. They needed some roster stability. This was the best version, I think, of their roster they'd really had so far. They had some decent performances with other versions, but I think this just makes the most sense. I don't really think Dephh was working too well as the IGL here. Marved, TenZ gave him a lot of credit for the way he was in-game leading, and it seems like that works better for this style of a team. And the impressive result they got against Furia, even though it wasn't quite good enough to get them through to playoffs, did probably show that, especially with Furia's result yesterday, we'll see, shows that it probably was a good step in the right direction, and against the right opposition over the right kind of time frame, Sentinels could be a threat come the last chance qualifier. Quick note as well here from FaZe Rain, because I used to watch his videos ages ago, and then he's gone through a lot of stuff over the last few years, but he did a video on FaZe's financials effectively, and looked into detail here on how much the different teams cost. He reckons that the VALORANT team and the VALORANT female team for FaZe cost between each other basically 300 grand per month. This is on a per monthly basis, so I don't know if this is just purely cost, whether this includes any revenue gain as well, but just goes to show that some of these esports teams are spending a lot of money, and I can't imagine a lot of this is sustainable given the results or lack of results that some of these teams have been producing. Also, congratulations to the winner of the Bagger Door for Week 8. That goes to TacticalRab after his phenomenal performance on Leviathan last week. I mean, look at this, 0.42 KD highlighted. I always find these hilarious, these graphics. But unfortunately for him, another tough result for them last night, and we're going to dive into it right about now. The European Tier 2 scene as well has been going on. Benji Fishy's team, they made it through to the playoffs in Poland. It's an absolute mess, honestly, the European Tier 2 circuit. It's difficult to keep up with because there's so many different leagues and so many different regions. It's not as easy and as clear-cut as it is in the Americas or even in the Pacific, I think. But pretty cool to see from Benji Fishy, but what I really wanted to dive into here is the Americas playoffs, which are currently going on. Leviathan versus Fury yesterday. Big result that came through for Furia. A 2-1 win for them. Ascent went their way 13-5. Then 2018. I mean, this is a ridiculous overtime on Pearl of all maps as well. Like, these teams, like, I don't like watching Pearl. Like, 38 rounds of Pearl, like, that's not for me. But still, Leviathan take it. Ridiculous game from King, actually, individually as well. But in the end, it was not to be, because 13-6 on Binds. Funny how this has gone lately, because there was a game recently as well with, was it 100 Thieves, right, where they came back from 12-6 down just to lose the deciding map anyway. So, yeah, Fury are comfortably better here, to be honest, especially on map 1, map 3, and they get the job done, and that will, I'm sure, give Sen some confidence, and their victory the other day against Fury was pretty impressive, all things considered. Leviathan, they continue their slump, I suppose, and they will now have to fight all the way through the losers bracket, and the other team down there in losers is the loser of the Evil Geniuses NRG series, and this was popping off yesterday, because a few days ago, these teams matched up in a very important game. NRG won it 2-0, and that secured NRG a 5-3, or was it 6-3 record in the regular season. They were looking good going into the playoffs, hadn't lost once in their last 5 or so series. They were, ever since that new chef came into their team, has been cooking up some absolute masterclasses. They've been looking really good in matches, and of course that nearly helped Sentinels get to playoffs, but if they'd have just won more map against Fury and gone 2-0, then they would have made it, but it didn't happen. The issue is, though, for the other team in NRG, is that Demon 1 went bold, and he's got the bold buff coming in. The Durka buff is coming in effect, and it certainly helped them out here. NRG win game 1, and then a crazy overtime. I mean, it's split. It's going to go to overtime. You might as well not even bother to play out the final round because you just know it's going overtime when it's 12-11. So anyway, it goes 12-12, but NRG lose the overtime. EG tie up the series, and then they take them down on the final map here, Ascent. Really interesting series because Victor was incredible in the first map, but after that he kind of disappeared, and EG really caught fire. So this was incredibly impressive from Evil Geniuses. Now, I know that it is a phenomenon, right, that when teams play a rematch that they've lost a few days prior, they have a much higher chance to win the second time because the team that wins is going to look at that game and think, alright, we're better than them, we outplay them, we can do so again. The team that loses is looking at everything they lost to, where they can go with compositions, where they can go with vetoes to try and, find a better outcome. And that worked spectacularly well here for Evil Geniuses, where they just straight up played better on the day. So the overall numbers, 2-1 to EG. This is massive, right, because they only barely made it in. It took 100 Thieves to lose to MIBR for EG to even make it in here, but they did make it in here. And Demon 1, 73 and 44. Like, he's actually a demon in and out of the server because he was popping off here. 13-11 on Haven to NRG, but then that 15-13 overtime, and then 13-7 on Ascent. Very comfortable for EG. Great first half, great second half, and what a performance, honestly. And Victor went 4-17 the final map, had a tough end to the series after being the absolute menace in game 1. So crazy series all across the board. And as FNS says, lost 2-1 to EG in the losers bracket now. They were better today, so they can definitely bounce back from this, but that is a shocking result, especially because Demon 1 can't even go to Tokyo. If they qualify, he can't even go. It's basically because of the visas and stuff, they're going to have to take BCJ, I don't know, but it's a bit of a mess, to be honest. Now, Demon 1, as I say, Demon in and out of the server, because he drops this, wait, these guys were champions, and he screenshots the, obviously him having a great series here on the Jet, and just saying, like, these guys are, OpTic, like, what are they playing at now, because they couldn't even take me down in an Evil Geniuses down. So, I mean, yeah, that one got 10k likes pretty easily. And then, especially because of this tweet from Chet the other day, this is the thing in Valorant, right? Teams that win, they love to talk trash, and it can always come back to bite you, because Chet says, GG's well played EG, 2-0 win, leaves at 63 records, maybe scrim us next time. This was a few days ago when they won that series, 18th of May, and just a few days later, they got matched to rematch at playoffs, and we know what happened then. So that's when Potter comes out and question marks this tweet. For some reason, it won't be visible on this screen, but I just showed you what tweet that she's screenshotting, and then Chet comes back with another revelation, and this is where things really pop off, actually, because it's not just, apparently, the drama with regard to the trash talk between the two, but also some sort of cheating drama going on as well, because Chet says, thank you for accusing me of leaking VODs, leading to 3 teams not wanting to scrim us for half the season. So, he reckons that Potter, coach of Evil Geniuses, has been telling other teams that he was leaking VODs of, I guess, matches behind the scenes to other teams, so, in scrims and stuff. So therefore, other teams didn't want to scrim at NRG, and apparently that's therefore affected their practice. Now, Potter comes back and says, look, that's hilarious. Multiple teams, players, and staff told us you were leaking. I had nothing to do with it. Nice try today, buddy. GG's. So she says that it wasn't her fault at all. It was other teams that came through and said, yeah, he's doing this. Other teams, multiple players, teams, and staff. So, if you're Potter and you hear multiple teams, players, and staff saying, hey, this guy's recording VODs of scrims and then leaking it to other teams, and players, you can understand why they might well say, yeah, let's try and cut that out going forwards. And Potter's like, look, I had nothing to do with that. It's straight up on you, buddy. And yeah, nice try today, buddy. I've never needed to cheat once in my career. You'll accuse me and talk behind my back. So, I mean, yeah, that's another angle of the story that I was not expected to come through. But honestly, it's funny in a way that ever since George Geddes tweeted about Potter needed to get fired, basically, she has gone God mode and the entire team has turned it around. They dropped down the EG Potter apology form last night, and, understandably for good reason, because, yeah, they really turned it around. So, remarkable turn of events, and this now leaves things as follows. Also, yesterday in EMEA, there were 2 big results. Giants losing to FUT Esports 2-0, and Liquid taken down Vitality 2-1. So that now leaves the upper semi-finals. The winner of both these games qualifies officially. Fnatic play FUT Esports, should be good enough for Fnatic, and then Na'Vi Liquid, really big series to determine which is going to be the other team into the upper finals. And in the Americas, it looks like this. So Loud Furia is now the game to determine the first team through, and and then Evil Geniuses versus Cloud9. One of these teams will make it for sure. You'd think Cloud9, but man, that's going to be crazy. And also, if Loud were to lose, I'm guessing they would play NRG, which, that would be an absolute wild timeline, but it could happen because we know those two teams love to play each other. But it's definitely possible that if NRG were to, let's say, Furia drop down on NRG, I think would play Furia because it should swap the bracket to this point. Otherwise, theoretically, Furia could have played Leviathan twice in a row. Then if NRG were to win that series and EG were to lose, then it's very possible that a rematch could happen again. So I'm really hoping for another EG versus NRG rematch because that would be an absolute cracker. But very much enjoyed to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.